Let me read to you a passage from the 8th chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel, verses 18 to 22. It's the Gospel for Monday of the 13th week in Ordinary Time. St. Matthew writes, "When Jesus saw the crowd around him, he gave orders to cross to the other side of the lake. Then a teacher of the law came to him and said, 'Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go.' Jesus replied, 'Foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head.' Another disciple said to him, 'Lord, let me first go and bury my father.' But Jesus told him, 'Follow me, and let the dead bury their own dead.'" That's from Matthew chapter 8, verses 18 to 22. What does this suggest to us? Well, it is a great mystery of human history that when God became man to do an immense good, he was opposed. In fact, in heaven itself, God was opposed. And that is where sin first made its appearance. God created the angels, and at his test of obedience, there was a revolt among many of them. It is the mystery of freedom. At the dawn of human history, man revolted against God. It was the catastrophe of the beginnings. The revolt continued, though many stood with God and in obedience to him. When God sent his Son to save the world from its sin, he was opposed by many. That is our backdrop, and it is the story presented by the Scriptures and by the Gospels in particular. The next thing we observe is that those who opposed our Lord were most especially the religious leaders. Time and again, the Gospels show the scribes, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the chief priests in conflict with our Lord and mounting an implacable hostility to him. The chief priests put him to death, a sentence to which he freely submitted as being the divine plan for the redemption of the world. Now, we can form the impression that it was all the scribes and all the Pharisees and all the priests, in other words, all of the leaders of the people, who were of this ilk. But not so. And this fact illustrates that all have received the call to be disciples of Jesus Christ. In our Gospel today, we read that, and I quote, "A teacher of the law came to him and said, 'Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go.'" That is to say, among the scribes, there was this person who felt within his heart the desire to follow Jesus Christ totally. Our Lord's response indicates that he had not considered the cost, but his desire shows that the appeal of our Lord and his teaching was penetrating the ranks of the opposition. Who is to say that there were not more? Nicodemus, a secret disciple of our Lord's, was a Pharisee, a leading Jew, we read. Joseph of Arimathea was a member of the Sanhedrin. St. John, in his Gospel, St. John, who habitually refers to our Lord's enemies as the Jews, explicitly says that among the rulers, many believed in him. Chapter 12, verse 42. This fact illustrates and symbolizes the universal call to Christian discipleship. All are called to be disciples of Jesus Christ. The scribe who wished to follow our Lord wherever he might go, in our Gospel today, is surely a representative and a reminder of this universal call. Our Lord's response to him and his response to the next disciple in our Gospel today is a reminder of the radical character of this call. The scribe, our Lord said, can expect few comforts, and he must understand this clearly. Foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. We read that one of our Lord's disciples, one who had chosen to be with him, to learn from him, to follow him, and to share in his mission, asked leave to attend family matters. He might have been directed by our Lord to participate in some way in the mission of his ministry at this point. We read that On a different occasion, our Lord sent out 72 of his disciples ahead of him to prepare the way before him by their preaching and ministry. He said to our Lord, "Lord, first let me go and bury my father." At this point, there must have been nothing more urgent than the mission in our Lord's mind. Moreover, he wanted to make the point to this disciple, and perhaps to others too, that he himself and his mission must take complete precedence over all else in life. Of course, we are not to take the specific issue that is mentioned here in this passage as normative for all future circumstances. The point that St. Matthew is reporting for us is that Jesus Christ must be supreme in the life of his disciples. His will and his work normally will include all family commitments, but even there, it is precisely his will and his work that is decisive for his disciple. The disciple is radically committed to Jesus Christ as the love of his life. Our gospel passage today invites us to place ourselves in the presence of Jesus Christ with each of the two individuals mentioned. There is the prospective disciple in the scribe, and there is the actual disciple in the one seeking leave. For each of them, and for each of us, the call of Jesus Christ is a total call. We cannot expect that our Lord will accept our being part-timers in his service. Everything in life must be for his sake. So, what have I done for Christ to this point? What am I doing for him now? What shall I do for him in the future? Have I been a part-timer so far? The Christian must sanctify everything in his life, which is to say, he must do all for the glory of God, in imitation of him who is the master. This, of course, gets down to the little things. Life is a mountain of little things, and altogether they make up a big thing. Each little thing must be done for Jesus, all for him. This gets down to the work of each part of each day. It is attainable through personal decision and the grace of God.